As I was walking down the hall with the matron, she showed me the bathroom. Is this one mine? By myself, I found out I was to share it with 300 girls. This is the telephone you will be called on. Who is going to call me? How will anyone know I am here? Finally, after endless steps, she said, "This is your room. The rules are to change your bed once a week. Here is your key. Lock your room when you leave. Here is the key for your locker. Don't lose the combination." What a difference from living in a tent. We come and go with no locks and no combinations to remember. I met the girl who was to share my room. She was very surprised by my hairdo. Apparently, it was out of date and too long. But she was more surprised that my clothes were as up-to-date as hers. When I began to open my trunk, she went out. But before long, others started to come in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different girls. I concluded that she had invited them to see what kind of clothes I had, and that they expected to see sealskin clothing, maybe along with a folding igloo. When I got to the bottom, one of them asked, "Where are your clothes?" I wanted to laugh and say, as to any well-known friend, "What do you mean? I have been putting them in this locker." We sat and talked afterwards, and they asked, "How do you like the weather?" I am afraid that I was as disappointed with their questions as they were with my clothes. One of them insisted, "Where are your own clothes?" And I replied, "There," pointing to the locker. But she kept on insisting, "Where are your, clothes where you come from, skins?" She practically vomited out the word, and her face had a sick look. Well, it was too much for me. One of the girls seemed to have the knack of saving everyone from the feeling of intrusion, and said, "How awful we are, watching her unpack." The others took the hint, said good night, and left. Eating rules were the hardest for me to get used to. They always went with the time, never with one's own hunger. I must say, the leader of the South is the clock. Everything is about time. Time to get up, time to eat, time to get to work, time to go home, time for everything. 2 days after my arrival, I stayed in for 2 solid days. I felt I would not be able to see the outside for a long time. Nobody told me that I could go out for walks and explore my surroundings, so I stayed in, as all the rules I had been asked to follow so far seemed to say that I should never move unless I was told to. The first day at work I will never forget. The matron had told me that some woman was going to take me where I will work. What does she look like? Was all I could think about. I stood for some time where I was told to wait for her. Suddenly, a woman was examining me, and I looked at her. She said, "I can't remember your name, but are you the Eskimo?" What a jolt! This was the first time I had met a person who did not have to give me rules to follow. I just nodded my head, accepting her as she was, and followed her out. Elevator. The woman who took me with her walked, and I followed behind her. The cement hurt my feet. There was so much to see, and yet she did not seem to be aware of anything. I watched her walk and wondered. She is so old, and nothing seems to bother her. There is so much to see, and yet she is not interested. Probably she has only one thing on.